Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sheep Get Sheared Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Creed, and my friends, I'm on the road. But you know what? I think we need to address the elephant in the room because everywhere I turn, whether it's the news, social media, favorite people I like to listen to on YouTube, Rumble, etc., I can't turn around. Everywhere I turn, whether it's Kamala Harris, Trump, everybody's talking about abortion. Everywhere I turn, there it is. Abortion. There it is. Oh, if you don't like abortion, then you don't like women, and you can't have an opinion if you don't have a vagina. Everywhere I turn, it's all women are voting with their wombs. Duh. Are people surprised by this for the most part? Oh, I know. There are outliers. Oh, yeah, I get it. Yeah, there are a couple activists who do a good job. Yes, and a couple of suburban women, inner city women, in between, for every one of them, there's 100 to 1,000 who completely and animately disagree. How have we descended to the point where people are voting with their appendages? What happened to this society, man? What happened to this country? What happened to this culture? Well, you know the answer. It was exploited. It was sold out from within. There was a time in American history where we didn't have the technology we have now. We didn't have all these wonderful toys and trinkets and everything. And people had, muskets and people rode horses, like the good olden days, right? And when I look and I see the history, especially of a lot of the Native American tribes and how the chiefs of certain tribes sold out their tribe for booze, for guns, and some silverware, I look and I see that nothing's really changed all that much. Nothing's really changed when you look at the fact that we're being sold down the river by people who've sold out to Big Pharma, to China, to North Korea. When you look at these people who have sold themselves like prostitutes to people for money, to preach certain policies, put people in power in certain positions, I'm not surprised by what we have in the White House, we have in Congress, what we have in the courts all around this country. I'm not surprised by it. But, let's get down to the nitty-gritty details. Let's not focus on the stuff we can't control as men. Let's focus more on why is it that we have a woman who was trying to get an abortion who went to North Carolina. She doesn't make it, unfortunately. She passes away, unfortunately. And then people want to blame Donald Trump. And I look around and I say, wait a minute, hold the phone, hold on a second. You want to sit here and tell me that we've gotten to this point where women are going to blame dudes, especially guys like Trump, for policies? Meanwhile, they're literally butchering children. And yeah, I said it. Oh, you don't like it? Oh, that's too bad. That is too bad. Because we're being exploited, gentlemen. We're being blamed no matter what we do. No matter what you do as a guy, it's your fault. One of my favorite Disney movies is the old movie Bug's Life. The reason why is because Hopper is one of my all-time favorite villains. Because he's such a master of fear. He cultivates this image of he's such a dangerous, edgy guy, when in fact, without his buddies and his cronies, he's nothing. But one of my favorite lines he has when he's trying to teach the would-be queen aunt, from Princess Ada, I think was her name, trying to teach her how to be a queen. He says, because she's trying to blame Flick, the main character, and he's like, first rule of leadership: everything is your fault. And that stuck with me. You'd be surprised the amount of stuff you learn when you're a kid, and it just sticks with you. You remember it. Even if it's the most inconsequential stuff, you remember it. The reason being, because it's impactful. Because it's something that resonated with your soul and you haven't given up on it. And when I look at the society today, I look at the fact that people are so polarized on issues they're not even fully educated of, especially when it comes to abortion. How is it that all the incompetent lesbians, and I know some great people who happen to be lesbians, they're actually very educated women and they're great. But why is it with these witches, these people who don't want to have children, who are either old women or lesbians, incompetent ones at that, and they want to sit here and they want to pretend like abortion is a huge issue for them. Meanwhile, they're never going to need one because they can't have one. You get what I'm saying? It makes no sense to me. That's like a bunch of gilded men talking about how, oh, we need to protect men's reproductive rights. Meanwhile, you hear nobody talking about men's reproductive rights. Nobody cares about men's reproductive rights. When was the last time you heard anybody talk about the reproductive rights of men? Oh yeah, men reproduce too. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, how else do you explain that you need both a sperm and an egg to create a human being? Not just the egg. Not just the individual who incubates said egg. No. There's the other side too. When was the last time you heard anybody talk about men's reproductive rights? You didn't, because they don't. And yet they want me to get up on my show and say, hi everybody, we're going to talk today about women's reproductive rights and how they matter so much to you, even if it has nothing to do with you at all. Most dudes, they don't care about abortion. They sincerely could care less. And I don't blame you. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you need to care about abortion. Let me tell you something, man. You want me to fight for your rights? Okay, cool. What about my rights? Where are my rights at? Oh, well, you see, you're a privileged white man, and you have all the rights in the world. Oh, really? Then why is it I get to have no say on this abortion issue, but I got to support you, but then I also can't have an opinion? You see how backwards this is, my friends? On top of the fact that if you look at all the abortions that have happened, you know how many people extra people we'd have to serve in the military in this country? How many more people we would have instead of having to import illegal aliens into this country by the trainload? Why do you think they're coming in here? Answer, because A, birth rate sucks, which would be different if the abortion was not as mainstream. Make no mistake about it. And number two, we look at the fact that they don't have voter ID laws in this country. I mean, do I have to spell this out for you? Can you add 1 + 1 and come up with 2? 2 + 2 and come up with 4? I know you can. You listen to this show. You must not be stupid. But you see, here's a problem. Too many people vote based on emotion, and that is where the exploitation takes place. That is where we have the problem. Because when you're voting emotionally, you're voting based on how you feel, not what actually makes sense, so that you could actually take care of the community. You see how all these things line up? You know, I like to talk about books and movies and stuff like that I like to read and listen or watch or whatnot. One of my favorites is 48 Laws of Power. And in the 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene talks about how innocence, equality, is used as a stealth tactic to subvert the people at the top who are talented and to uplift the mediocrity, to uplift the people who are not going to get there on their merit. It undermines the idea of a meritocracy. And the same idea that when we go to the intellectual marketplace of ideas and we have people who want to talk about how they deserve a voice and they deserve this and they deserve that. First of all, nobody deserves anything. You earn what you get in this life. That's number one. But number two, they want to pretend like their opinion's more important than anybody else's because of things that had nothing to do with them, like their skin color, like their racial background, like their sexual orientation. A lot of these things people don't choose. You might debate me on that, and we can have that discussion, because there's a place for it, especially about the orientation part. But when did we get to the point where having a vagina or lack thereof became credentials to have an opinion? How do we get to the point where if you dare to have an opinion as a guy about abortion, you're like Hitler and Stalin stuffed into one with Mao Zedong sprinkled in there, and you're this and you're that, all the terms that feminists like to use. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was it not the dreaded white male, especially, along with the dreaded black male in this country, who gave women the right to vote, who ended slavery, who created progress towards laws that made it a crime to beat your wife, that made it a crime to financially hold your wife hostage, that allowed for no-fault divorce, all the things that men now despise, they gave to women because they wanted women to feel safe and they wanted women to feel represented. Correct me if I am wrong, but I can guarantee you I am not. Why? Because I do my due diligence, my friends. And this is exactly why this whole argument is so stupid, but yet it's turning the election right now. Why did we get to this point? Well, I mean, I could go down the, maybe we should do a whole episode about how the big lie of women's suffrage on voting. Reason being, because you want to believe that according to the, public schools and the revisionist historians, they want to teach you that, people are evil, the white man's a devil, colonialism is bad, what's the other one? Oh yeah, capitalism is no good. All these things they spit on. There was a time in America when the right to vote came with conscription to the military. Oh yeah, you missed that part? They didn't tell you that part? Yeah. There was a time when the right to vote came with conscription, and that was one of the reasons why a lot of women, yes, women, they didn't want the right to vote. Why? Because they knew they'd have to be conscripted into the military to get the right to vote, and they didn't want to do that. That is until the idea of, wait a minute, why don't we just give them all the cash and prizes with none of the backlash, none of the responsibility, and we just, let's just let them vote. Just let them vote. No conscription, no responsibility, no debt to society, nothing. Just let them vote. Just let them go ahead. Now, you could tell me that it's overdue and that it was important and whatnot. I'm not here to talk about that so much as I'm here to talk about how when you bend the rules, you change the rules of engagement, you change how society operates, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Just in the same way that this abortion issue is not happening in a vacuum and is affecting the lives of millions of people, both born and unborn, by the way. And then people want to sit here and tell me that if I have a penis, I can't have an opinion. Well, you know what? You're the problem. Why? Because what if I told you, oh, you know what? We're talking about male stuff. You're a woman. You can't have an opinion. You wouldn't like that, would you? Of course you wouldn't. But when it comes to you, you want to turn around and tell that to men. Why? Well, Sigmund Freud told us, right? Sigmund Freud talked about the idea of penis envy. Oh, yeah. Oh, did I just bring up Sigmund Freud, the father of modern psychology? Yes, I did. Oh, yes, I did. In fact, he's very relevant. He's so relevant that people today are getting paid to disprove his theories. They are getting paid to call him a quack and a moron the same way they did to James Watson and Francis Crick, the co-founders of the discovery of the double helix nucleic acid. The DNA structure. Oh, yeah. And guess what? He said a couple things that were politically incorrect. They canceled him. They took his lab away. They took his Nobel Prize away. They did everything to discredit him and ruin him. Not because they disproved what he said, but because they didn't like what he said. The same way that people do that to guys like me, guys like you, all day, every day, because we are the silent majority in this country. Make no mistake about it. You are part of the silent majority, odds are. Reason being, because you're not a crazy whack job who's out there on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, etc., screaming about how we need this and we ought to have that and we should get everything for nothing because I want it. Give Big Pharma more money because, we need to give them more money, even though a lot of times they're only making you sicker. Just look at Robert F. Kennedy's speech, but we're on the long march. And I use the term long march very poignantly. We are on the long march, in the words of Mao Zedong, towards a, quote, more progressive society. And to make an omelet, you have to break a couple eggs. And that is why we're seeing what we're seeing. Sacrificial lamb here, sacrificial lamb there. And before you know it, they're trying to put together the whole buffet for themselves. My friends, I'd love to hear you talk about this issue in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. I guarantee you I'm going to get shadow banned. I'm going to get shadow banned to the shadow realm on this topic. Why? Because I'm a white guy with an opinion and people don't like it. Versus if I was some TikTok skeezer who had 15 abortions and I was talking about how great it is to get Planned Parenthood to sell baby body parts, which they do on the black market, by the way, allegedly. I'd go viral tomorrow. See how messed up the world is, man? They being exploited around the clock by the lies, the rhetoric, the propaganda. It's unbelievable to me. But then again, there's nothing new under the sun, right? This isn't anything new. It's just taking a new form. And all of you who are older than me, you know this. You've seen it. You were around for the 60s garbage. I read about it in history books. Some of you lived it. Some of you lived in the aftermath in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Now we're living in a new time because of the Roe v. Wade overturn, and now people are going insane. You have guys like Tim Walz talking about, oh yeah, we should be able to abort the kids after birth. Oh yeah. Calling Kamala Harris a prostitute, a prostituter. You guys see that clip? Calling her a prostituter instead of a prosecutor. He didn't even catch himself either. Oh, it was so good. Oh my God, it was fantastic. I laughed so hard at that one. But I don't understand this, my friends. Why in the world we've gotten to this point where logic is dead in America. People don't want to hear about logic and reason and philosophy and history. No, they want to hear about how do you feel today? And if you don't feel good, well, here's a pill. You don't feel good, oh, I'll tell you what you want to hear because you deserve it. What do you mean you deserve it? You deserve nothing. Nothing. You deserve a watch us up on Coney Island, I once heard. Look it up. My friends, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Let me know how you're feeling about this election cycle thus far, because we're going to be commenting on it more and more as time goes on, because it's only getting started. We still have 2 months to go with this garbage, and don't think it's going to end on election night. It won't. It won't end then. It's going to keep going, because whoever wins, God forbid Kamala wins, because all of the feminist witches are out there, and the beta cuck men are out there who will vote for this witch, who her only accomplishment is sleeping her way to the top, in my estimation. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Trump out here almost getting assassinated again. Media covering it up. People saying it's staged. Bunch of sick pieces of garbage, a lot of them. I can't believe. How in the world do you get off saying it's fake? What do you mean, fake? I don't think that even though Trump is narcissistic, which is true, I don't imagine the guy who loves himself as much as Trump does would put himself at an actual death risk. I can't imagine him doing that. See, most people who use the term narcissistic don't even know where the term comes from. They don't know the story of Narcissus from Greek mythology, where they then named the flower after him. Oh yeah, most people they don't know that story. Why? Because they're uneducated. They don't even know what the word that they're using comes from. But my friends, I think I've said enough on this topic for now. We'll revisit it. You mark my words, we'll revisit it. But I think it's important. I'm about to get to the gym. I got to get my workout in before I go into the office. Got to get some sales today. And my friends, if you're not going to the gym, if you're not trying to keep yourself healthy throughout this horrible time, throughout this turmoil time, you got to focus on the things you can control. Trust me. I understand wanting to get worked up about things you can't really do anything about. But at the end of the day, we have to look out for ourselves. We have to look out for ourselves first before we can look out for others. You ever been on an airplane and the flight attendant tells you to put your mask on first before you put somebody else's mask on? Same thing is said in your life. You can't put your life together, then don't sit here and try to tell me how I should be putting my life together. Meanwhile, you ain't doing anything to make yourself better. I don't want to hear it because you're a liar and a hypocrite and a grifter, and I don't want to hear it. My friends, let me know what you think about this issue. And I don't care if you have a vagina, a penis, neither, and you're some alien freak job. I don't care what you are. I care about what your opinion is, because on this show, everybody gets to speak up, even people who want to make fun of me for my Jewish heritage on the show. Go right ahead. I don't care. Think my ancestors suffered and went through all these horrible things and all this adversity just so I could succumb to a bunch of douches on the internet? Absolutely not. My friends, I'm going to head into the gym. I just pulled into the gym parking lot. I'm going to go get a good pump in the gym. You let me know what your opinions are. You let me know if you think I'm right on, totally off, somewhere in between. I'd love to hear it. You take care of yourselves. I'm out of here. Have a great day. Peace.